Once upon a time, in a land far away, there lived a nameless monster. The monster was dying to have a name. So the monster made up his mind and set out on a journey to look for one. But the world was such a very large place. The monster split in two and went on separate journeys. One went east, the other headed west. The one who went east came upon a village. There was a blacksmith who lived at the village's entrance. "Mr. Blacksmith, please give me your name," said the monster. "I can't give you my name," replied the blacksmith. "If you give me your name, I'll go inside you and make you strong," said the monster. "Really?" said the blacksmith. "If you make me stronger, I'll give you my name." The monster went into the blacksmith. And so, the monster became Otto the blacksmith. Otto was the strongest man in town. But then one day he said, "Look at me, look at me. The monster inside of me is getting bigger." Munch, munch, chomp, chomp, gobble, gobble, gulp. The hungry monster ate up Otto from the inside out. Once again, he was a monster without a name. The monster next went to a castle to look for a nice name. He came upon a very sick boy who lived in that castle. "If you give me your name, I'll make you strong," said the monster. The boy replied, "If you can make me healthy and strong, I will give you my name." So the monster jumped right into the boy. And the boy became full of vigor. The king was overjoyed. He announced, "The prince is healthy. The prince is strong." The monster became quite fond of the boy's name. He was also quite pleased with his royal life in the castle. So he controlled himself no matter how ravenous his appetite became. Day after day, despite his growing hunger, the monster stayed put inside the boy. But finally, the hunger just became too great. "Look at me, look at me," said the boy. "The monster inside of me has gotten this big." The boy devoured the king and all his servants. Munch, munch, chomp, chomp, gobble, gobble, gulp. The castle was lonely now with everyone gone, so the boy left on a journey. He walked and walked for days. And then one day, the boy came upon the monster who had gone west. "I have a name," said the boy, "and it's such a wonderful one at that." But the monster who went west replied, "Who needs a name? I'm perfectly happy without one." After all, that's what we are, nameless monsters. The boy ate up the monster who went west. At last he had found a name, but there was no longer anyone to call him by it. Such a shame, because Johan was such a wonderful name.
The clip that you just saw is almost a perfect representation of what Johan's character embodies. And before starting the video, I'd like to make this clear that everything throughout this video is just my subjective opinion and my subjective take on Johan as a character. And so without further ado, let's get into it. Johan is empty. There is a hole inside of his heart that destroys everything that comes in contact with it. There is something intriguing about his mind, his actions, that make us recognize that he is utterly empty, a sad existence, a husk of a human being. Why is death considered scary? It takes everything that we love and reduces it to nothing. And why is identity considered important? Because without it, we would be undistinguishable from others and we would be nothing. That very nothing is what Johan embodies. The belief in nothing. Nihilism. Each one of us deep down knows that life is meaningless. If we were reminded of this depressing statement often enough, we would probably go insane and kill ourselves. But thankfully, our identities, memories, hopes, dreams, they make a shield and protect us from those negative thoughts and the emptiness in our hearts. Now imagine a man who has nothing, no identity, no memories, and no hopes. How would this man look like? A man who never had a name, never had any memories from the beginning would look like. You would probably imagine a man hanging by a tree or a corpse somewhere. But Johan is very much alive and he has no intentions of putting a gun to his own head. And that right there is true darkness. A soul so empty that it pulls everything into it. That right there is Johan. A monster without a name, who wanted a story and a name so bad that he consumed everyone that came near him. Johan does not have any mind-controlling abilities, but the ability to make you feel empty, exactly like the devil. He doesn't do evil, but instead triggers evil inside of everyone he faces. And he can take lives this way without even tainting his hands, just by opening our inner emptiness. If you don't want any spoilers about the ending of Monster, then skip to this timestamp. It is almost impossible to talk about the ending of Monster without talking about religious symbolism. It is pretty obvious that Johan is meant to symbolize the Antichrist, and that Dr. Tenma is symbolic of Christ himself. If you don't know who the Antichrist is, it's basically a figure that looks and acts like Christ, but all the miracles that he performs are fake. As Tenma and Christ both bring out the best in people, Johan and the Antichrist are polar opposites. They try to bring out the worst, the evil inside of people. I could go on and on about the symbolism between Christ and the Antichrist, Johan, Tenma, but that would take a long time. But the point is made that Johan and Tenma are obviously parallels to Christ and the Antichrist. At the end, when Johan asks Tenma whether it was him or his sister, which one of them was unwanted, this question is the thing that, in my opinion, sparked in Johan the idea of lives not being equal, and that the only thing lives were equal in was in death. This is also the reason why Johan was intrigued by Tenma. Tenma, a person who believed that all lives were equal. He even saved Johan's life, which in his opinion was less than that of the politician in the beginning of the series. This moment when Tenma saved Johan sparked an interest in Johan. And throughout the series, he tried his best to prove Tenma wrong, that all lives were not equal, that the only thing lives were equal in, again, in death. In my opinion, the landscape of the end is pretty evident that that is symbolic of doomsday, the end of the world, and also of the utter emptiness inside of Johan's heart soul. Throughout the series, as Johan was very interested in Tenma, he tried to show Tenma his opinions on world, and in my opinion all the events that unfolded were in order for Johan to show Tenma the landscape of the end. There was also the thing about him committing the perfect suicide, which is also a very interesting part because usually normal people want their existence to be acknowledged, they want fame, recognition. Johan, on the other hand, wanted to erase his existence. He wanted to kill everyone who knew he existed, which is also a very interesting part of the story. And if you have not read or watched Monster already, then I highly recommend that you do. It is one of those series that I absolutely adore. Obviously, the character writing is phenomenal. The pacing might be a bit slow, but at the end the payoff is huge, so believe me, it is worth it. And again, all of this is just my humble opinion. And anyway, thanks for watching the video.